All right. Anyway, let's end the salt. We'll move our segment. I think it's my turn. Whose turn is it? Who
I think
goes?
it's your turn. Handing it
Your
off to you,
turn.
Zach.
All
Let's talk about SEC
right.
subpoenas.
Let's do this thing. All right. Let's talk about some SEC stuff. So, the SEC issued an investigative subpoena to Circle, the firm that is a key administrator of the USDC stablecoin. We found this last night in some SEC filings. Circle's in the process of going public through a SPAC deal, so they are obligated to disclose all sorts of facts and figures about where they are as a business. One of those things that they disclosed last night is, hey, we're cooperating with the SEC investigation. What the scope of that investigation is unclear. We reached out to them last night. We were in touch with them. They were unable to provide any additional detail by press time, so we don't have any statements beyond what was shared in the SEC filing. But sources tell CoinDesk that this is potentially about the assets backing the USDC stablecoin. Represents a further escalation by Gary Gensler's SEC and is really interesting challenge for one of the more notable firms in the space. So I'm going to toss this straight to Naomi. I mean, I think this one is really super duper interesting. What's your take when you see Circle getting hit with an SEC subpoena?
I mean, it's interesting because when you had Coinbase hit with their Wells notice and they said, you know, we have all kinds of agencies asking for all kinds of details and we're pushing back against that and they want the names of all of our people on our wait list and all of this stuff. And Coinbase said, actually, we don't see why this is relevant to whether or not, you know, we're offering a security. And then you contrast that with Circle here, who's, you know, the other side of USDC. And they said that the subpoena requests documents and information regarding certain of our holdings, customer programs, operations. They didn't say anything about pushing back. So I'm wondering how much information they're giving out about customers and all of that. It is a big question there, but Zach, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Coinbase thing is absolutely worth mentioning. I mean, it's also interesting. Coinbase wasn't hit with an enforcement action. This is actually SEC Enforcement Division. This is a bit more serious than the Wells notice that was served to Coinbase. That notice actually ultimately scuttled the lend program that they were going to roll out to retail customers. You know, I think the timing here is interesting, right? Circle rolled out a high yield USDC product for corporate treasurers the month before they were reportedly served with this SEC subpoena. So really interesting to see the story around USDC, which I think has over $30 billion in circulation at the moment. Really interesting to see this continue to unfold. I'm going to throw this to you, Will, for your take.
I just want to jump off your last comment there, $30 billion in circulation. Well, a lot of that is in the decentralized finance markets. USDC has kind of become like the stable coin for that entire emerging market. And I think it's one of the more important markets when we're talking about crypto writ large. I think most people, even bankers and regulators, are coming around to the idea that DeFi could have some lasting implications for the financial, like the legacy financial markets. So if you kind of look at the stack and you say, oh, well, USDC makes up a large percentage of the liquidity involved in these DeFi markets. Well, what happens when you see the SEC going out against something like Circle, which has a large stake in USDC? Of course, like this notice against Circle was not directly against USDC that we know of right now, from my understanding. And Zach, maybe you can correct me on that, but it's more about this lending product that they're offering on the side. Of course, we saw Coinbase kind of pull back because they received a similar Wells notice. So I think in general, we're just kind of saying like these things, these money Legos, if they're connected, they do have implications against each other. And when you have a corporate firm, it has a larger attack surface than a protocol does. And that's where you kind of get into like this slippery slope where, you know, if USDC falls because the lending protocol falls behind it, well, then what happens to all these other crypto projects that are using USDC to prop up their tokens and prop up their new projects? Naomi, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah,
I did just want to say, Will, you are correct in that we don't know what the scope of this is. We don't know if it's related to this lending product. We don't know if it's related to USDC. This is not the first time they've had to disclose past engagements with the SEC. You'll remember that when they owned Poloniex crypto exchange that they spun out a couple of years ago, they still had to deal with some baggage from Poloniex. So this is not the first time that they've been disclosing their engagements with the SEC. But again, we don't know what this is specifically in relation to. And I think that is worth being clear about. But I'll toss it up to you, Naomi. Sorry.
Yeah, well, just on the Poloniex note, I mean, the SEC is just raking it in with all of these settlements that don't even provide clarity to the industry. So having to pay $10 million because they may or may not have, sold securities on there, and we just are none the wiser about what those securities actually were. But the point I was going to bring up is about, you have sorry, I completely lost my train of thought because you made me think about the Poloniex stuff. Zach, see?
Sorry.
Poloniex is just like, it's in my mind there. Anyway, I'll toss it back to you.
Bomb.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I think the days of circling USDC flying under the radar may be over. Naomi, take that last thought. You got it.
I just have a question, right? Because if they are targeting lending products, you have to ask, so if Chase Bank offers me interest rate that is higher than 0, is that considered a securities? Because my understanding is it's not a security. It's literally just a lending product. And yet they're saying that if that's offered in the crypto space, then it is a security. I mean, there are so many different lenses we can look at all these products. I know that with the Axie Infinity side of things, you have the Philippines trying to decide, is this a commodity? Is this a security? And there's a big debate about that, how it's regulated. The point is these are entirely new assets, and we don't yet know through which lens we're going to be looking at them. You have the IRS looking at crypto as property, but then it's like, actually, we may change that down the track because there are all these wash trading rules that don't apply to crypto because it's treated as property. So we then have to change it and consider all crypto a security. Like, it's so complicated right now, and government agencies don't know what they're doing. All they know is they want to, get as much power as they can by defining crypto as something that, increases their purview. It's really frustrating, especially because these products are something that the community's finding valuable. The DeFi space is showing that this stuff is probably going to stick around, even if these centralized entities can't offer these products. So, I mean, it just, again, to our first article, it just shows that decentralization is really the future in all of this.